Hi again, people. Moino Wave from here again, as always, and as usual. As always, and as usual, you can tell what time it is. This is going to be a video on a neutral topic, guidelines for entrepreneurs and business owners. Before I continue, the article that this video is associated with, um, contrary to what I usually do, I will not be reading from that article, so I strongly suggest that you give it a read. It's linked in the description of this video. Um, the official information is in there in like a bullet point list or displayed as such. In this video, I'm simply quickly going to give an example. Now, if you want to open up your own business and you don't know anything about opening up a business, we're talking about nothing really, nothing concrete that gives you like an overview as in, okay, so what do I need to do? How do I need to do it? Where do I need to do it? To what extent? Yada, yada, yada. I'm simply going to give one example that will be enough other than what I mentioned in my article. Obviously, this video will be embedded in the article as well. So let's just say that you're a cab driver. Simple example. You're a cab driver. Now, you want to open up your own business, but you want your business to be a sole proprietary, as in you're going to be the only cab driver. At best, you'll have one guy as a backup, for example, in case something is wrong with you, so to speak, wrong with you in the sense of you being ill or something to that extent, or you being absent, you all of a sudden needing to travel. Now, you don't intend on, for example, opening up your own taxi business where you have 20 drivers in your employ. No, or they're working for you. It's just purely you. Okay. Sole proprietor, entrepreneur. Okay. So, yeah, where do you begin? What do you do? Now, in regards to whatever country you live in, first thing that you're going to have to do, not literally the first thing, there is no particular order necessarily, but bottom line is, in a manner of speaking, first thing that you'll have to do is assess the market, as in who's your competition, what other cab companies are there in the region that you intend on operating in, how do they work, how do they operate, and so on. Okay, at a base level, you need to study them, not literally study them, but take them into account and the way they work, their modus operandi, the way they go about their business. And you need to separate yourself from that, the extent to which you're capable of doing so, making yourself unique. But yeah, before I get to that, okay, I'll get to that later. Before I get to that, obviously you need to establish that, hey, okay, I have a car, your car needs to be fully functional, your car needs to be able to work properly and everything. You need to have everything, spare tire, everything. It needs to be a well-maintained car as a whole. Other than that, you need a backup car as well in case that one craps out, your main one craps out. Now, furthermore, like I said, you need to check to see what the demand and supply and demand is. I already mentioned competition earlier. Similar to competition, you need to check to see who, for example, you intend on operating only within your city. Who are your customers going to be? What are the kind of people that, generally speaking, take cabs? Are there enough people in the sense that the demand is great enough to the point where it's fine, it will be financially as well as overall feasible for you, profitable for you? Um, to the point where you can, best case scenario, do it for the rest of your life, or worst case scenario, do it at least in the long term for the coming at least decade or two, for example. Um, by that time, provided that you have done everything well, you will have built a good rapport for yourself to the point where your business will continue to thrive indefinitely. Okay, until you stop the business or you hand it over to someone else or you kick the bucket, you die. um, so yeah, and for the rest, there is nothing wrong with copying others, but not without it becoming plagiarism, in the sense that most businesses in the world, regardless of the nature of business, they have a default modus operandi. There is nothing wrong with that. That's completely normal. I mean, it would be ludicrous if every business was unique. No, at a base level, every business has the default and same outline, like a template format based outline. And you can apply the same thing in this given example. So you look at other cab companies in the region, you see what they do at a base level, etc., etc. You're like, okay, I need to do that as well. You need to have your business registered with the local chamber of commerce and so on and so forth. Um, and you need to separate yourself from the rest, as in, hey, what can I offer or what am I willing to offer that those guys are not? Otherwise, if you place yourselves in the shoes of a customer, why would a customer choose you over someone else? Why would a customer choose you, company A, over company B if there is no difference, no mention worthy difference? The customer is going to argue that, for example, company B, contrary to you, has already been in existence for a couple of years, so it's a no-brainer. They're going to choose the competition over you because you only just got started. But of course, you need to start somewhere. But at the same time, you can't blame them because every person, on average, every person pretty much would act this way. Um, so yeah, you need to stand out from the bunch to the best of your ability. Of course, everyone does that, but still, you need to stand out in your own unique way or in your own rare way. Um, you need to, and it's all about the little things. You need to have a flexible attitude and or mentality. No one says that you need to chat away with customers, blah blah blah, etc. But you need to feel their energy, especially the full customers. If you're capable of if you're seeing that someone is quite chatty or similar, then you need to actually adjust your mood accordingly. But if you're generally speaking a stiff person or a stiff individual, you don't talk a lot or anything like that, then with some customers, especially those that are more used to socializing, it might be a bit awkward, and that alone might be reasons for them being reluctant to, for example, purchase your services again in the future, or just driving with you again or riding with you again. So you need to adjust yourself accordingly. Like I said, a little bit of small talk, as in, so where are you from, etc. How do you like it here? you know, or your local, etc. Stuff like that goes a long way. It helps to break the ice by pure definition, by sheer definition. For the rest, your business needs to have obviously a logo. It needs to have everything like pure brand marketing, and all of that needs to reflect your personality. No person will want, for example, a business that is cookie cutter, like template, like as in it comes off as disingenuous. It comes off as fake. It comes off as if you're not real. You're just you just copy and pasted this and that and that from somewhere, and that's all. It needs to be Your stuff needs to be unique in the sense that it needs to represent your personality. When someone looks at your company logo, for example, and or your website or whatever online presence you'll have, which is heavily recommended, someone needs to be able to make an assessment of what kind of person you are. People need to be able to look at your website and or logo and they go like, yeah, I know what this guy is like. I already see what time it is. That's that again goes a long way. It doesn't pay to essentially try to gaslight people in a corporate legal way, for example, making things come off or appear better as they are and whatnot. No, you need to have a mentality along the lines of what you see is what you get, plain and simple. Um, Now for the rest, you your calling card. So, for example, your website, and the example that I'm giving, a web page would be enough. Social media, for example, like a Facebook page or a page on Twitter or X or anything like that, might be a bit impractical, but it depends on the individual. If you're, again, a sole proprietary cab driver, then a web page is recommended that simply highlights all of your information straightforwardly. This is who I am, this is what I do, these are my working hours, availability, etc. These are my vehicles, this is the main vehicle, secondary vehicle. You showcase yourself, what you look like, etc. And every other attributes that make up your business and what you bring to the table business wise. For the rest, you need to be registered on Google Maps. Your location, even if you work from home, needs to have a sign out so people can see that, okay, the company is located here, it's situated here. Everything needs to be neatly filled in on Google Maps as well. And yeah, then for the rest, you can start your business. Additionally, you obviously also need to make yourself known to the world through advertising. It doesn't matter how you advertise, it depends on the details, etc. You can advertise in so many ways, honestly, but point in cases that you need to advertise effectively to the point where the world knows your business or not even the world, at the very least, your environment. So your target audience, they know your business, or your target group or clientele, they know your business. They know that, hey, this cab company exists and they're open for business, and for the rest, everything they would like to know, they can find it on your web page or any other online presence you have, and or they can easily find your contact information where they can ask any exceptional questions they might have that are not listed on your web page or similar or equivalent already. Yeah, and last but not least, for example, in the case of, again, the example given, what I would recommend to someone like that is, listen, if, for example, English is the only language that is spoken in your environment, but I mean, you only speak English, but other than English, you also on occasion have foreigners that speak different languages. It would go a long way if you actually learn those languages as well. Um, of course, this takes a considerable amount of effort, but it's still worthwhile if you want to stand out from the herd, the hypothetical or proverbial herd. For example, the city in which you operate, you've got English speakers, Spanish speakers, French speakers. Then learning Spanish and French would also go a long way. That way, the people that speak Spanish and French, they're more inclined to drive with you or buy your services compared to the rest. The rest, for example, they didn't think of it in the way of the competition, or they know it's too hard. So it's up to you. If you're willing to make the sacrifice and go the extra like 5 miles or whatever idiom you want to use, then you'll see for yourself how much it will pay off. Because again, the other guys that don't speak English are going to be like, hey, you can drive with this guy. He speaks Spanish, he speaks French. So you can knock yourself out. And for the rest, again, you can expand to everything, not just okay chauffeuring people around. You can make it known on your business page that you also do delivery from point A to point B, that you also do things such as picking up children from school and then commuting them home. And it just goes on. You see my point? You need to place yourselves in the shoes of the average person and the things that they do on a daily basis and what they might need a taxi for. And after a lot of brain work, then you'll see for yourself that there is a lot that you can offer and consequentially make a lot of money off of in that regard or aspect. So yeah, that's it. Bye.